The Timeshift.
Hello, I'm that well-known YouTube celebrity Doctor Who, and this is my web series, needlessly long and overly verbose. Ha! That's self-referential humour, that. Ha ha ha! Fan service. Bet you are laughing into your replica sonic screwdrivers with that one. Ha! This week I'm reviewing the latest episode of Doctor Who, entitled World Enough and Time. Probably the most stupid episode title we've had in a very long time. And as such, this week's episode of The Timeshift is gonna be spoiler heavy. Yeah, I've given the game away, it's whatever, but you know, who fucking cares? Video! Oh, fuck my hand! Okay, this week's episode of Doctor Who, it's a mixed bag for me. Because on the one half, I really enjoyed this week's episode, but it was ruined for matters which I have discussed in the past, and I will discuss ever so slightly shortly. For the meantime, let us actually give this episode a proper airing. Let us actually talk about the qualities that it does have. This is an episode which, for the most part, I did find to be thrilling and creepy. I found the pre-title sequence this week to be, well, fantastic, but at the same time very depressing, because here we are now. We're only really a couple episodes away from Peter Capaldi leaving the series. And the fact that he was there on a snowy environment, very much reminiscent of the regeneration from the first Doctor, it makes the whole entire scenario feel like a matter of time now. And even though it was a great emotive moment, even though Peter Capaldi's hair looked absolutely fabulous in that particular bit, it feels also very crushingly real now that it's only a matter of time now. Everything up until after that point, I am slightly in two minds about. The whole sequence where Missy was Doctor Who! Ooh, self-referential humour! Don't you just fucking love it? The hallmark of Stephen Moffat's time as showrunner, really, still here, right up until the end. I'm going to be honest, I read the little bit of I'm Doctor Who and these are my two compatriots, exposition and comic relief. Hey, those aren't job titles. No, they're genders. When I read that in my mind, it sounded a lot more worse and obnoxious, but actually delivered by Michelle Gomez, it was fantastic, great, good. I feel that whole entire sequence of his real name is Doctor Who. What? Bit to go on for a little bit too long, and the weird face that Bill pulled when Missy said, "Oh, that's his real name," was just laughable. It wasn't just the weird face, but it was also the zoom in of her going, "Ah!" Which, okay. Maybe it's a joke. Maybe Stephen Moffat is playing on the whole mystery that we had a couple of series ago with the guy with the blue head going, "We will know your real name, Doctor Who." And now he's referencing that fact that whole entire plot thread of what's the Doctor's real name, Doctor Who, was never really resolved. Maybe he's playing up on that and making a joke and a wink nudge, and this is one of the few attempts where the fan service bit would actually be some way tolerable. Unlike almost every single fucking bit of fan service that he's done in his time as showrunner for Doctor Who, but whatever, that's a discussion for a different date. Linked somewhere in the video for my big review of Stephen Moffat's time as showrunner for Doctor Who, somewhere around here when it's eventually done. But that whole entire sequence was better than I thought it was going to be, even if it did feel as though it went along a bit too long in the end of it. And the whole bit with Bill getting shot. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I've had absolutely grade A, zero hype for this week's finale. The reason why I haven't been hyped up for this week's episode, and I suppose this is the best point for us to actually address the elephant in the room with this, is the fact that the whole mystery, the whole revelation that John Simm's master would be coming back was ruined very early doors into this year's series. Now, for those of you who haven't been following the background to all this, maybe for you don't really entertain the gossipy side of Doctor Who, you're not really engaged with the community at all, or maybe just kind of thought to yourself, you know what, I'm going to watch Doctor Who again for a little bit. I hear Stephen Moffat's leaving, so I might as well see what he does for his final series. For whatever reason you've not known about it, the basic timeline of events goes like this. A few weeks before the series is due to go out, it is revealed to tabloid newspapers by apparently a leak that John Sim would be returning to play the Master at some point in this year's series. Most likely at the end of the series, because that kind of revelation would be big, oh my fucking cunt level of shock and surprise. Now, of course, the BBC at that point did not confirm this was the case. However, they didn't need to, because John Sim himself ended up going onto Twitter and saying, "Hey, I'm coming back for the Master!" At which point, everyone could have still have played it off as being, "Oh yeah, it's just a ruse, he's playing along, this is actually a fake leak." But, of course not. As soon as he confirmed he was coming back, the BBC themselves confirmed that he was coming back. And maybe still, we could have ignored that. We could have ignored it as being all part of some greater ruse, and maybe his inclusion in the series was just a brief cameo, a special bit that they recorded, showing him regenerating into Missy as some kind of flashback sequence, or some kind of devil on her shoulder kind of thing. But no! The BBC decided to include him in the next time on this series of Doctor Who trailer bit, where it was revealed that he would definitely be back. And after that point on, it was pretty much just a case of just waiting for the iceberg to hit, waiting for the moment we would see him as the Master once more. And even if that was still to be the case, that he was just going to be a flashback or a ghost or some kind of spirit, the promotional art that released a few days before the final episode, well, this last week's episode was due to go out, kind of pretty much confirmed the fact that he was definitely going to be more than just a figment of Mrs. Imagination. So yeah, the big mystery to this year's series, the big twist, the big climax was ruined well in advance. So that means when we had the bit where Bill met Razor, Mr. Razor, with his weird accent and his stupid beard and shitty hair, I knew it. I knew it immediately then that he was going to be the Master. And it was only a matter of time before he revealed his true identity. But of course, maybe I was entertaining the fact that maybe it wasn't him. It wasn't him at all, and that somehow he would turn into the Master because he used the fob watch thing again or something else. But no, it most definitely was him pretty much from the get-go. We knew it was him. So then it was just a case of waiting for him to become the Master, the big revelation of him being the Master, the big revelation that we always knew about ahead of time. The big revelation that pretty much the entirety of this episode hung on in terms of the big, oh my fucking cunt level of surprise to it. This is the second series during the Peter Capaldi run where the big penultimate episode has revealed that a character we didn't know the identity of is actually the Master, or in the previous case Missy, that has revealed the existence of Cybermen and has seen a main member of the cast, a companion, get killed off effectively and turned into a Cyberman. I'm starting to see history repeat itself, and in that regard I'm worried as to what will happen next week. This week's episode is definitely, and I'll give it some credit to the credit, is that it is building on a theme that was set up in last week's episode. In last week's episode we had the Celts and the Roman Legion from Class coming together to fight a million, billion, squillion, evil, alien, bitey things in a dimension where time passes a little bit slower than it does on the outside. I calculated in a big wacky sequence bit that got cut from the episode because I was suffering from heat stroke, that inside the little dimension bit for them it had only been 2 days, whereas outside it'd been close to nearly 2,000 years. You know, it's just a little thing that I calculated, that I did all my workings for but didn't do because it felt as though I was going to be sick and die at any moment. But whatever. Again, we're getting distracted. It is nice to see that they continued on that little thread they built up into this. The worrying thing is that there is another thing that's been set up this series that I'm worried will end up being the case next week. You may remember that in the... Sorry, what was it called? The Lie of the Land. The Lie of the Land, it's what called. In the final part of... No, shit. Sorry. Sorry, I just had to look it up in my notes here because the episode was so pointless and so bloody forgettable. I forgot the name of it. The Lie of the Land, that's what it was called. The Lie of the Land, in the episode in which Bill manages to save the day through the power of love and remembering her mother. I've got this sinking suspicion, this horrible, nasty feeling that that's what's going to be saving the day next week, that Bill is going to resist the power of the Cybermen by remembering her mother, and then will probably end up becoming the Cyberman controller and then disappearing off into space and time. It would be nice, however, to give her a happy ending. I mean, maybe not a purely happy ending where she's able to resist it, and of course Oh, fuck, I've remembered James Corden. No, I've not remembered him, so I've remembered he exists, because, to be honest, I forget he exists. But no, I've remembered that episode, the last episode that he was in, where he was turned into a Cyberman, and the love of his small child made him resist the power of the Cybermen. So it's already been set up well in advance. Oh, fuck, it is going to end this way, isn't it? Bill's going to be resurrected. She's going to survive. She's going to come back from the dead by the power of love. Or alternatively, the Doctor will use his regeneration powers to regenerate her into life. Because there's probably going to be some Deus Ex Machina thrown in the last minute, because fuck it, of course there is. And the whole bit with him going at the beginning of this week's episode will probably be as a result of the actions in the Christmas episode, not necessarily as a result of the actions in this week's episode. He will get hurt, he'll fire his energies into Bill to resurrect her and bring her back, and then she will end up having maybe her memory wiped to stop her being susceptible to Cyberman programming and just get sent home or some shit like that, I don't know. And I thought that the bit where the Doctor saw Cyberman Bill and he was asking her, you know, can you find Bill Potts, to be kind of heartbreaking. That there he is just staring at her like, please, for the love of God, you have to tell me where she is. I have to find her. And the revelation of that. I am disappointed, of course, that shortly after that it's back to prepare for trouble and make it double. Meowth. That's right. Team Master blasting off again to be undercutting that moment ever so slightly. I really wanted to feel that extra bit of desperation a little bit longer, just a little bit, an extra couple of minutes with that moment to really enjoy the depressing nature of it. I'm not a psychopath, I honestly admit that, I'm not a psychopath, but, you know, just a little bit of moment where we could enjoy the moment, just let the moment rest for a couple of moments, the gravity of the situation to truly last, and then you can have the big fanboy woo bit, where they're all going to be wanking off and splurging over the computer screens with their reaction videos that go on for as long as the episode, because they're just recording themselves watching it in the stupid fucking hats and going Okay, so the performance section. Core cast, great, fantastic, good. I think that Michelle Gomez really did save those I'm the Doctor, Doctor Who, those agendas bit, which, when I read it out loud a few days before the episode was due to go out, I thought those lines were going to be intolerable and insufferable, but she managed to deliver them in a fun and exciting and interesting way, and Peter Capaldi was great. The emotion that he showed when he was going again was sad, and again sad that he's going to be leaving us. The bit where he's practically begging Robo Bill to save the day, or rather to reveal where the real Bill is, only to reveal, I'm here now, I am located, I am Robo Bill. You know, that was okay, and nor Matt Lucas, a criminally underused component of this year's series, I have to say. Maybe it's because Matt Lucas himself wasn't available as much to be in the series itself, or what. I really think he's a character who is enjoyable, and I really hope that he too doesn't die, which may be the case. And if, again, leaks are to be believed, he might, or might not. I honestly don't know at this stage. Anyway, oh yeah, another performance, John Sim as the Master. He was only the Master really for the whole of 5 minutes. Throughout the episode, he was Mr. Razor, with his accent that goes to different regions of the world. First of all, sounding like kind of generic Eastern European kind of man. Oh, hello there, little lady. I am Mr. Razor. Oh. I am definitely not evil Time Lord man in disguise for in non-good reason. Then he'll kind of start talking a little bit like a super and called Luke's and Lodi. Wow. And it just cut to this switch between the two of them. Then he did the, you fuckers, I'm the Master, and whatever. Yeah. Performance section done. Okay, Okay, so the overview. What did I think of the episode as a whole? I did thoroughly enjoy it from start to finish, but I do feel the fact that the big revelation as to John Sim being back as the Master, the fact I knew about it in advance thanks to tabloid, gutter trash newspapers revealing it, John Sim himself being a complete and utter tit and revealing it, and then the BBC themselves revealing it, not just on their entertainment section of their website, but also in the fucking trailer, ended up killing this whole revelation stone dead. And I can't really give the episode any more credit than that. I will say that I didn't enjoy it anywhere near as much as I really should have done. Whilst I did enjoy it for the most part, I did find it fantastic and near flawless, I didn't enjoy it in the same way as had I just not known about all this. Had I not engaged at all, had I not decided to, look up a couple of things, look up episode listings and that kind of thing, and then all of a sudden, he's back, the Master. Yay. Way to go, BBC. I mean, you could have just let this shitty arsehole cunt biscuit newspaper just say it, just reveal it themselves and then not reflect on the rumour at all. And then made John Sim sign an NDA so as not to reveal the mystery. And then just left it to them being speculative. Because they always do bullshit speculations. They always say as soon as the companion announces they're going to leave, there's always bets on that they're going to get killed off. And they don't get killed off in Doctor Who. They just have very, very convoluted ways of not being alive or not being around anymore. I wonder what will happen to Bill. Probably true love saving the day, but whatever. As for the Doctor himself, how will he regenerate? Well, I've got a prediction. It's probably going to be bullshit, but let us at least get it out there. Okay, so my prediction as to how the Doctor regenerates is that at some point in next week's episode, Missy is going to have the Master at gunpoint. Is going to be threatening to kill him off, even though she knows full well that he's a Time Lord and he'll just regenerate into her. So she holds the gun out to shoot him. And then she shoots him, but the Doctor's in the way of it. He takes the impact of the blast and it starts to trigger his regeneration. But he's able to defuse it and he puts that energy into Bill. I almost forgot her name there. He puts the energy into Bill, giving him a little bit extra time with which to be alive. He then scolds Missy for falling on back into her evil ways. She disappears off into that sweet good night. And Missy Master goes off and gets ready for her next adventure, where she'll end up revealing herself in the Cyberman episode from the previous couple of series ago. Yeah, it sounds a little bit incoherent. I am kind of pulling this out of my ass at the last minute, but that's probably what's going to happen with next week's episode. So, prediction done. And now to the comments section, where once again we go to Metro Cop. And Mythos says that he's looking forward to this whole Day of the Masters thing that's coming. I wasn't at all, because the mystery had been revealed. Now I'll tell you the truth though, there is a thing that I realised on Friday morning, and I was tempted to do a video for it, but I didn't find time to do it, and by the time I actually edited it, it'd only be a matter of hours before the episode was going to air. I did get a little bit excited on the Friday when I realised that Missy, Nordal, Pearl, Mackie, Bill... Sorry, why do I not remember her name? Yeah, Missy, Nordal and Bill are not going to be in the next series. So their fates are totally up in the air as to what will happen to them. They could all get killed off. One of them gets killed off, one gets turned into a Cyberman, as was the case. So, as a result, anything could have happened. And only really one thing happened. Which itself, yes, was creepy and very, very, very sad. That something so horrible has happened to one of my favourite companions in a very, very long time. But, that's what it is. And they started to get unfocused and waffly. So, you know what? There's not really much else to say. I wasn't really hyped for this episode going into it. I was a little bit more hyped when I realised that anything could happen in the next half hour. Or really 45 minutes, but top marks if you get the reference. And the episode itself at the end of the day was fantastic and great. I would have enjoyed it more had I not known about the big twist coming as a result of arseholes, but, whatever. Next week's episode, however, it's all to play for. If Stephen Moffat manages to stick the landing with this and not bollocks it up, this will be a fantastic two-part and probably the best end-of-series two-parter that we've had in the new run of Doctor Who. But he probably won't. It'll probably be just a lot of shots of Cybermen blowing up, true love saving the day, some big eerie setup for the Christmas special, which will turn this 2-part into a 3-parter, and more shots that set up the fact the Doctor's regenerating, and that'll be it. But whatever, what did you think of this week's episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Message me in the comment section whichever website you're watching this on, and I will get back to you in due course. Now, excuse me, I've got things to do, or something. I've got a wacky costume to set up for next week's episode, which will cause all kinds of jokes and japes and things. Goodbye!